Yeah, hello and welcome back to ConWorxx 3. Spielworxx, own, small, cozy, friendly, now with Ode, very friendly online gaming convention. My name is Udi Blenneman and I just already said that the one and only Ode is my guest. So welcome Ode, how are you? And you could think about the name because of the shirt too. So nice shirt. So how are you?
Yes. Hello, Uli. Thank you for inviting me. And of course, I thought that with you getting older and always forgetting things, I thought, okay, I'm helping you here to remind you who's your guest today. And no, this was a stupid joke from some friends of mine, and I got a couple of those shirts. And, yeah, I thought that would be a nice.
It is, and it is also really great that you thought of me, that I know your name now better. And there is Marcus, Purple Shiba again. So he's saying, hey, Ode. And there is Nick Case. Dangerous Brothers. Hi guys, he's saying. Yeah, well, it is. And hello Hans and hello Stefan again. Stefan Risthaus, designer. Great seeing you. So Ode, you're well? Is this what it is? So how do you feel?
Yes. Yeah, I'm quite well. I have a free weekend because my wife is on a short trip to the coast of northern Germany, and so I'm taking care of the dogs. Please, if there's somebody coming here at the door, there might be some noise here because I have 6 dogs and they will bark all the time. But yes, I'm taking care of the dogs now. I'm at home and I'm, of course, looking forward to talk to you.
Yeah, wonderful. So, and yeah, it doesn't matter if the dogs are barking. This is, of course, here high tech extreme. This ConWorxx. So you see, well, so no worries at all. So for people who do not know you, the very few people, of course, who is Ode? Who is the person Ode?
Well, I'm just a regular German guy, and I work as a assistant to a wheelchair driver, and recently I started my own business. So I'm mixing both jobs right now. I'm 45 years old, and I live in the outskirts of Germany somewhere. There's a lot of nature around here, and okay, the Netherlands are close. That's
Also nice.
in the west of Germany. So yeah, and I'm doing some board game designing on my free time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is also, in my opinion, a nice area here over here in Germany. Of course, some people say, well, it's too boring or nothing is happening. You may say so, but I prefer it. I like it here.
There's a worldwide operating board game company in this area because
Of course.
you know.
Even two now. So and by the way, we will talk order and I mentioned this in the intro this morning. So Ben Maddox of 5 Games for Doomsday, he can't make it today. He has a kind of an emergency on the last moment, but he's all right, so it's not that bad. But Ode will replace him at noon. It's not really a replacement. Of course, Ode is much better than the Beast from Berlin.
Nobody can replace Ben.
In a way, yes. And but we will talk about, because we already have comments on Applejack in the chat. We will talk about Applejack, about Odes and Torsten's new company, Game Builders, at that time. So I will leave these questions and comments for that. But Nick has a great comment here on your dogs, number of dogs, 6 dogs. But your wife didn't take the sledge to the coast? Well, that is... it's not snowing at this moment, but otherwise she could take the sledge with the 6 dogs.
Oh, no.
No.
It's very problematic to travel with dogs, and even six dogs is too much for any hospital or hotel or whatever you can think of staying, and nobody will think, okay, you can come with your 6 dogs. No, that's not possible.
Yeah, I can.
We normally travel, if I'm not at home, my wife's at home, and if she's away, I'm at home. So this is Like we have to keep our babies here.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing. But we will talk in right away about a new Spielworxx game designed by Mike Heller and Ode. So it's a co-design, and the title of the game is El Burro, a La Granja game. So we will talk about El Burro. So Ode, what is El Burro?
First of all, compliments on how you pronounce the title of La Granja, and it was flawless actually. So very good, very well done. El Burro is a new standalone game in a series of La Granja games we are trying to publish in the next couple of years. So, well, I'm a huge fan of these sequels to board games that come out lately, like Birmingham or Marco Polo 2 and Granja Project, for instance. So I am having a lot of fun playing these games, and I thought that it would be very much fun to do this on my own and to create something La Granja style again. So this was the first idea. And I got in touch with you, and you were kind enough to say that's a good idea. I don't know if this is a good idea, but we will find out.
We will find out, and I think it's an excellent idea, actually, not only a good idea. But you mentioned two things that are pretty important. So first is El Burro is a standalone game. No, it's not an expansion to La Granja, so you cannot simply put it next to La Granja and play this together. It's a completely standalone project, and we will talk about this, of course, but I think this is important to mention. And you already hinted on this, we have this subtitle, La Granja game, and this means that there will be even more games in this series. Yes, it is a series in my opinion, over the next couple of years. It's way too early to talk about them at this moment. Doesn't make any sense, but just so that people know, more stuff is coming from the brilliant minds of Ode and Mike. So I'm really grateful to be able to release these games in the next couple of years. So this is wonderful. So El Burro is a standalone game. For people who do not know the original La Granja at all, so I can't imagine that there are people out there, but what is... Exactly. Somebody else had to say this. I cannot repeat myself for 10 times. But what makes La Granja, or the La Granja family, such a pleasant experience in gaming?
Yeah, so the main idea of designing La Granja back then was to have a multi-use card system. And this is basically the thing that I personally think that most people draw to this game, because you have multi-use cards that are usable in 4 different ways. So you have a personal player board, and this player board has 4 edges. So from the left, from the right, from the top, and from the bottom. And each and every card you play to this farm board, because you're building up a farm on Mallorca, can be tucked on one of those edges. So every card that you play has a lot of decisions to make for you.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to use this card? And this is a mechanism that I was inspired by Glory to Rome, which has a similar way of using cards, and I was very fascinated by this, and I wanted to turn this into a game of my own, and this was what La Granja was back then. And of course, there's more to it than just playing cards. There's another mechanism that I think is outstanding here, or I leave this to the people to say it, but there's another main mechanism in the game. It's a dice draft. So you have a couple of dice, you roll them, and every die value is attached to an action. And now there's a dice draft, so every player gets to pick one die and perform the action. And of course, this is also very interactive, so which action do I take, which actions do my opponents need, and which can I leave there, and what is my personal benefit from it. And that's also a very nice mechanism, and those two mechanisms are the main mechanisms, I think, for La Granja.
I agree completely, and because you don't see Twitch, when I'm looking in this direction, I'm putting up pictures. So I showed the prototype player board, and I showed the middle rondel where the dice are placed, so that people can see this. And what is interesting, in my opinion, when you were mentioning multi-purpose cards, yes, and Glory to Rome was really innovative doing this. And I think the original La Granja, is it from 2013 or 2014? So do you 14? So and it was at that time it was still very innovative. Not too many games used this mechanism. But what is interesting is that even to this day, to late 2022. Not that many games tried it, and I think because it's pretty complex to do it, because the cards need to be still balanced. If one of the four options is so strong, you always put it at that place, so it needs to make sense. So it's difficult to design, and that's why I'm admiring Mike's and yours work so much. And of course, it's also a very ludic element to have cards in your hands, selecting a card and selecting it for a special purpose here. So that's also a wonderful thing what people simply like, because it gives them lots of options. The same thing with dice drafting, of course, because
yes.
So.
I can actually underline this, because designing La Granja back then, it was a nightmare, because we had so many different approaches to how the cards should be used. It was when I was done developing the game, I said to myself, I'm never ever going to do a game like this again with multi-use cards, because it was so hard to do, and I was not very good at designing games back then. At the craft aspect of it, I want to mention, because now, a couple of years later, I found myself in a situation that I wanted to design a game like this again, and it was a little bit easier now, because I already knew what I was doing. So, but I can totally say that designing a card game is brutal.
It is. I can only imagine, because I'm not smart enough to do so myself. But it was quite a statement from two new designers, and maybe it was also why Spielworxx was lucky getting this game, because maybe some other companies wouldn't have taken the chance. First, newcomer designers, always hard, not only in gaming but also for others in the book trade. It's difficult to have your first thing published, and probably some other companies thought, well, balancing this and working on this is too hard. You never know, but now it's too late. It's too late, as they say. But okay, you did this La Granja. You already mentioned after a couple of years you got interested in another game in this family, standalone game. So what is different here? What are the main differences?
Okay, so the main differences are actually that, well, let's just take the things that both games share, which is also the card mechanism, that you tuck your cards to the board, and the multi-use aspect, and also the dice draft is still there. But actually, all other things are different in this game. So there is a complete new board. There is no market in the board like it was in La Granja, and instead of a market where you place your market booth, there is a road now, and you travel your road with your donkeys, and you can unlock different bonuses alongside the street. So you have different delivery options now, and You get milestones here and there, and you have to do much stuff on the road. And the road leads to the port of
La
Palma
Palma.
de Mallorca.
Mhm.
And so this is actually the second part of the story, you might say. So when in La Granja you have a market, it's very locally. And in the second part now you travel the road and try to get to the harbor, and it's a little bit bigger scale. The next thing that is different is that we have a second deck of cards. So this is not only the farm cards anymore. It's also a second deck of victory point cards. So every time you play a card, you have options in your hand, of course, and El Burro is actually a little bit more what would I want to say? More complex. It's a little bit more complex. So in this case, you have way more cards to decide from, and also you have victory point cards that will work exactly the same like the normal farm cards, but instead everything is connected to victory points. So the card game is more interesting in this game because of many more options. And the main aspect that I wanted to be in this game, and is actually the main reason to do this new game, is that you can now deliver your personal goods that you created on your farm to other players.
Yeah.
So back when I was designing and developing La Granja, I had a playtest where I tried this variant. So delivering all your stuff to other players, and it was a nightmare because nothing worked. And it was totally chaos, but it was actually pretty much fun because you had much interaction in the game. So it's now important to not only to focus on your own personal stuff, but everybody could deliver to you. And the thing that I wanted to create now is that if I deliver to you, then I need to get a bonus, but you need to get a bonus as well from this. And so this kind of interaction is very interesting, and I think this is the main reason why I wanted to have the new game and not only do this as an expansion or something like this, but it's a whole lot of interaction in the game with this deliveries.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And to me, the market in the original La Granja was not the most exciting aspect of this game. There are, of course, other different opinions about this. It worked perfectly well, but I think this road, which I showed you on the main prototype board a little while earlier, is more interesting because, as Ode said, it's also a race element. And we all know in gamers games, race elements are really difficult to set up well, because if one person is leading too much, so has a huge advantage, so the others may simply not bother doing so. So you have to be careful how you do this. And it is also one of the reasons why I consider Mike and Ode as one of the best designers out there, because you now have multi-purpose cards. You have dice drafting, you have a race element that is important, so each on their own, these elements are very difficult to balance well, and a lot can go wrong with these elements, and that they all work together so well is wonderful. But it's also, and I think that is, I wrote it down, otherwise I would forget at my age. It is what it is. The game is a little bit, so El Burro is a little bit more complex than the original La Granja. That's 100% sure, but you have to see that when the original La Granja came out, it was deemed as a pretty complex game, but times have changed a little bit. Nowadays, a lot of people think, La Granja, well, it's a gamer's game, it's not a family type game, but not too complex. So I think another level here of complexity is for a lot of people a good thing. And in the chat we are having Karthik, who said, impatiently waiting for a Burro, played a prototype in LariaCon. Yeah, that was wonderful when we played the game together. So yeah, thank you. And Marcus Purple Shiva is saying, if not the best designers, at least the best looking designer. So yeah, of course.
Stop it.
And Pete is back here. Good seeing you again. So he's saying hi, Oda, hi Nick, hi Karthik. So yeah. You already mentioned that there is also some interaction. So if I deliver to somebody else, do I do this via a donkey delivery, or how do I do it, Oda?
No, actually there is another type of delivery now, and since I also do not only have dogs here, we also have goats here at our home. Well, not in the house, but they live in the garden, so also we have chicken. But in this case, I thought that goats would be a very nice thing to deliver to other people. And so there's not only donkey deliveries here, but there's also goat deliveries here.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you get a goat delivery, you need to deliver to other players. And the benefit for you is, of course, that your personal task that you're trying to achieve is now a little bit easier for you because I helped you.
Mm-hmm.
So the benefit for me delivering with the goat is that I get a step on a new element of the game, which is the reward tracks. So there's different reward tracks. For every good that's in the game, there's one. And you get to steps on these tracks, and there also are rewards by climbing up these steps. And that's another new element in the game. So this is actually how I balance this, because everybody needs to have a benefit from this relation. And your personal benefit is that you get easier victory points and benefits from your tasks, and I get benefits from climbing up these steps, which is very powerful in the game. But it's actually something that you benefit from later, and that's the key to this relation here. And it also works, which was very important to me, because if there's an interaction between the two of us, we both benefit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some might think that there is at least a third person needed to make this work, but it actually works pretty well with two players.
Yes.
And this is also very good.
Yeah, I agree. This opens up the game in a large way, in my opinion, too. These deliveries, and by the way, Stefan is asking mountain goats, so I don't think so. It opens up the game even further, because we are now also talking about a third deck of cards here, right? So
yes.
And this would you like to talk about this third deck of cards that
yeah, sure. As you mentioned, the game is actually more complex than La Granja, and in La Granja you had 4 small tokens, and the tokens showed a number of donkeys and a number of heads, and the donkeys, of course, were the deliveries that you could do with your personal wares and goods, and the siestas heads were for a track that determines the player order, and so you always had to choose one of these 4 chips to decide how much steps do I want on the track and how many deliveries do I need for delivering my goods. And this was a very neat and simple mechanism, and we had a complete new idea for this mechanism, and it's now a deck of 12 cards. Mm-hmm. And every round you get to draw 4 of these cards and distribute them to different slots on a new donkey board that is also now every player has a donkey board as well, which is some kind of a stable for the donkeys, you might say. And one of the cards, all the cards, they show a number, and you have to think about which card do I attach to my siesta slot, and which card do I attach to my donkey slot, which determines how many steps I get on the siesta track or how many deliveries can I do.
Yeah.
And this is actually also combined with that cards with a lower number, with a lower value, also get a bonus for you. And so you have to constantly to think about how do I want to use my donkey cards that I now draw to get the best result here for me. And this is a little bit more complex than, of course, the 4 small chips that you used in La Granja, but it's also, well, we thought that it was a good idea to replace this and to get this new, well, it's actually a small game within the game.
Yeah.
And which makes the game more complex, of course, but it's also full of interesting decisions. And when we played this, we thought this is actually something that we need to go through with. So,
yeah.
And it also helped because what you said earlier was that we wanted to do a new standalone game, and also we have to think about why should somebody want a second game that is actually feels the same like the first one. And in our case now, we decided to have a more complex game. So La Granja was also a quite complex game back then. I personally think that, like you said, the time changed a little bit, and more complex games are games in per se get more complex in the last couple of years. And this is actually a testament to that. So, this is a more complex La Granja because some of the elements are now way bigger than they were. For instance, the donkey cards now, and the card play on your farm board is expanded by a new set of cards, and
but I agree. So it's a little mini game in the larger game. But again, it's also a very ludic element because with chits or with markers, you place them. With cards in your hand, it's totally different, although maybe the options are basically the same. But each round, you only have 4 cards in your hand, and one is for later, so for a future round, but you have to determine. And then the other 3 are put into 3 different slots. And each slot has a different meaning, and maybe for you, for your gaming strategy, a different importance. And this is done at the same time, so all players are doing this simultaneously, so playing time isn't going through the roof. And this is also wonderful. And Michigeek, of course, is, not of course, but he's also saying, nice to see Ode talking about El Burro. I'm a fan of the goat mechanic on this one, so you see there is confirmation. But we are having another question, which I also think is important, especially in these days. OO Bex is asking, does the game work solo, so solitaire? Can you play it solo?
Actually, you can. This is a little bit of a problem right now because I'm very late designing the solo mechanism, and Uli might curse now because. Yeah, I have a solo mode, and actually, the thing that I want to achieve in this case is that the solo game, there's a bot I'm playing against, and I wanted the bot to act strategically. So this is very hard to do. It's actually something that I achieved with Cooper Island. So when you play Cooper Island against Cooper, which is the solo bot. Cooper has a strategy that he follows, and this is very important for the game because you can anticipate his moves, and I think this is a very good simulation of a second player, and I wanted to do something like this with El Burro as well, so I'm still trying to figure out how this actually works. I'm on a good way. The last playtest that I did, it worked very well because the solo bot has a personal board, and when doing things, you add tokens to the board, which give you new information on how the bot works. So this is expanding throughout the game, and to control this is very delicate. So I'm still trying to figure out how this works. But if you give me maybe another couple of weeks after Essen, because now I really do not have the time to work on this. Yeah. It's all about, and it works.
There will be a first order. You are slacker, that you aren't ready here, and of course, and no, especially in a game like La Granja, with so many different options, which dice to pick for what, cards to play for different purposes, solo bot, and is very difficult to implement. So I feel you here, Ode, and yeah, it is ready when it is, but to confirm, there will be a solo bot for La Granja. And that's what it is. But I would like to get back to one point you briefly mentioned earlier. And if you still remember, the original La Granja had 6 game rounds. And yes, as you now know, the new La Granja, El Burro, is more complex. And having again 6 game rounds would be, it would drive the game lengths through the roof. So Mike and Ode smartly shortened the game rounds to just 4, because you can do so much per game round. And again, let me stress how good these 2 designers are, because as you know, you can tuck a card to the bottom of the player mat to your stable or whatever it is. And if it has an event, and if this event can be used 6 times in a full game, it's of course much more strong, more important than if you can only play it 4 times. So also this balancing here is a wonderful game work by you. So another compliment from my side. And time, because we have a question by Hans here, and I can answer this one here. Hans is asking, how far are you with the game now? The timeline. So, apart from the solo bot, the game is design-wise, it's finished. It's basically also development-wise, it's finished. Yeah, we will look about over some card things, tinkering here and there, and thinking about this. And you can play the game, of course, still in prototype format at Essen, at the Spielworxx booth, which is, let me again put this in here, is 6H102. So you can play it during the show. Please remember, of course, graphics are prototype-wise and some handling issues are there, but you get a very good idea what the game will be about. And if you like it at Essen, you will like it afterwards. If you do not like it at Essen, you won't like it afterwards. That's for sure. And Ode himself, you will be there at the booth in the afternoons, right?
Yes, that's what we agreed on at least. So you told me 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I will be at the booth, and we will start a play with the designer type of thing, and I will explain the game. I will stay there. I don't know if I stay for a whole game, because if people want to play the whole game, this could take some time, especially for first timers, and on the fair, it's something different. It always takes a while to play there. But I will be there for at least a couple of hours and be there. So if you want to say hi, just come by, and we'll have a chat.
And I'm looking very much forward to this. So if you have a chance to be at Essen at Spiel, and if you're interested in El Burro, La Granja game, please stop by at the Spielworxx booth. You can test the game during the whole day, all 4 days, and each day in the afternoon, so about 2:30. Ode will be there to explain the game and be there present probably for a couple of turns, game rounds, and he definitely is also interested in talking to you and chatting to you. So yeah,
Certainly. This is actually something that Essen is about. I think that meeting people, and this is so great because everybody from the whole world comes over here to Germany, and for me it's very good because I only live 1 hour drive away from Essen, so it's very close to my home, and I'm happy about this. But it's very nice to meet all the people from all the world. So if you want to meet, come by and have a chat and.
Yeah,
maybe we rob Uli's fridge so we can have a drink.
No, fridge is closed at that time. Completely. No, we will see what we can do, and I can only confirm, yes, Essen is about meeting people first and foremost, and let's talk, let's chat, and I'm very excited to meeting you, to see you play the game, to see the game in action. And thank you very much to all viewers here for taking your time on a Saturday. And of course, thank you, Ode. And I will close the stream now. Now, not pausing it. Sorry for the inconvenience. So if you would like to see Ode again and me at noon, please reconnect at about 12 o'clock here. And Ode and I, we will talk about the gaming year 2022, and we will also talk about the game builders, the new company. Ode will tell you all the secrets, and we will talk about Applejack. So thank you very much, and there is lots of thanks you for you, Ode, here, from Hans, from Chris, from Karthik, and from all the others, from Pete. So let's talk again at noon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks.